Hey, everybody, this is Jeff Newton. So Todd Blanche, the interim Attorney General for the Department of Justice, he used to be the personal attorney hiding all the information about the Mar-a-Lago case and the secret records that Donald was holding on to. That guy, he replaced Pam Bondi. He's just filed the most outrageous court brief on Monday against those folks who are suing the White House because they tore down the East Wing and are going to put up this monstrosity in its place. And as you guys knew, that as soon as after this assassination attempt was happening by this wacko on Saturday, the wacko who sounds sane, they basically filed a brief immediately saying this is an excuse now that a legitimate reason why we need this White House ballroom and its capacity of about 1,000 people. So let's just talk about that. The White House Correspondents' Dinner had more than 2,000 people at it. Some estimates were as many as 2,800 people. Let's just say it's 2,000. The White House ballroom is going to hold about 1,000 people. And Trump suggests that, and DOJ, including Todd Blanche, and the Deputy Director of the Secret Service in a separate brief suggests that these kinds of events will be held at the White House in the future because there'll be more room. Well, the White House Correspondents' Dinner is run by the White House Press Association. It's not a White House event. It's a private event that the president and his staff and his administration and all these members of Congress and so forth were invited to because it's a privilege to be there at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's not an event at the White House, and nor should it be. I mean, how much deeper does the Trump administration want to control the media? They've already handpicked people in the White House press briefings, and they decide who goes on the pools into the Oval Office, right? So they want to do all that, and now they want to hold the White House Correspondents' Dinner so the president's convenient for him. I mean, it's ludicrous, actually. And the White House Press Association should not be entertaining this thought. They should actually be filing a brief, an amicus brief, next to this brief that says, this does not concern us because we hold our events off-site, and if the president wants to attend, he can. But it's not theirs to hold. So that's the first thing I would say. But secondly, let's remember, sorry, I didn't get off topic here. Just as a reminder, I'm Jeff Newton, a former 60 Minutes producer and former senior producer at Vice on HBO and National Geographic Television. So that's me. And I would say that this Todd Blanche brief that he filed just almost immediately after this press conference, it was within hours they had filed. It was in the court record as of the 27th. Listen to the kind of language this lawyer uses. You wonder why they're losing cases in court? Let's see. The National Trust of Historic Preservation is a beautiful name, but even their name is fake. He literally has fake. It's like he's calling it fake news and he capitalized it. When they add the words "in the United States" to the National Trust of Historic Preservation, it makes it sound like a government agency, which it's not. In fact, the United States refused to continue funding it in 2005 because they strongly disagreed with their mission and objectives. Their mission and objectives are to preserve national monuments in the District of Columbia. They are very bad for our country. Very bad. Very, very bad. Does it sound like Donald Trump language? Something's bad, you could say it's bad. They stop many projects that are worthy and hurt many others. In this case, they're trying to stop one that is vital to our national security and the safety of all presidents of the United States, both current and future, their families, staff, and cabinet members. They were asked by the United States military not to bring this suit because of the top secret nature of the important facility being built. Well, originally it was a ballroom, and now it's this big top secret facility that's going to go, underground and protect the president and all his people. We haven't needed it before. Generally the White House is secured pretty well by the Secret Service. They always has been. But remember, this is the Secret Service that on January 6th erased all their text messages so that the Inspector General couldn't see what was being written. So this is what they're claiming, right? So everything they say is suspect at this point, right? These are the same cats who are involved in this kind of bullshit in his last administration. They were shown detailed plans, specifications of this knitted, unified, and cohesive structure by the top officers, that's capitalized as well, like it's a proper noun, and leaders, that's also capitalized like it's a proper noun, in both the military and Secret Service. The military is capitalized like it's a proper noun. I mean, who the fuck are putting these things together? Do none of these lawyers take an English class when they were in college? But this did not deter them because they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. This is in the first page. I literally can't make this shit up. Of a briefing by the Department of Justice. They literally called these people Trump derangement syndrome. This is not a real medical I feel compelled to say this now. Trump derangement system is a MAGA term used when you're losing arguments. It's not a medical thing. And the fact that it's on the front page of a United States District Court for the District of Columbia, case number 125CV04316RJL, is just insane. Let's just keep going, shall we? Here they say, with such a facility, it would have been impossible for the attack. Remember, they're talking about the attack on the president at the Hilton. With such a facility, it would have been impossible for an attack, which took place Saturday evening in D.C., when the attempted assassin, armed with a shotgun, pistol, knives, charged through a security checkpoint at the Washington Hilton in an attempt to assassinate the president, First Lady Melania Trump, members of the cabinet, and senior staff during the White House Correspondents' Center. The Secret Service, fortunately, neutralized the assassin before he could reach the ballroom. However, Saturday's narrow miss, they're calling this a narrow miss. He didn't even get into the room. And if you look at the footage, it looks like maybe they shot their own guy. Go back and look at that footage. When he's running past, the guy pulls his weapon and shoots across the room, and the one guy falls down. I think they shot their own guy. I'm not positive, but they're very careful about how they characterize it, by the way. I'll get to that in a minute. However, Sunday's narrow miss marks the third assassination attempt against him, confirms what we should have already been obvious. Presidents need a secure space for large events that currently do not exist. The first time they shot him in the ear, he was at a public event. He goes out in public all the time. Is he going to stop playing golf? He plays golf all over the fucking place. Are they securing that like it's a White House ballroom? No. There are inherent risks to being the president of the United States, and it's your job to secure him. And if you can't secure a hotel room, you're telling me this? It's pretty scary because every president before you was securing these places without complaining and whining about it. Do you want more security? I'm sure you do if you want to protect them. But is it necessary? Here's what's happened. You guys tore down the East Wing, okay? And they used to have some lovely little dinners there. I look back and, Obama had an event there with 300 or 400 people. Biden had one with an African country, I think, that had 500 people. So it's possible to have pretty large dinners there. But you want one that's a ballroom because you love ballrooms. You love big things and you want to put gold all over it. And then you said originally that it was going to be $200 million. Now it's $400 million. And you said all along it's going to be one of those events that you pay for through private donors. Okay? There's lots of problems with the last 3 or 4 sentences I've just said. First of all, private donors don't do anything for nothing. They do it for influence. And that's part of the problem. Secondly, you didn't ask anybody when you tore the building down. You just did it. You tore down one of the great buildings that is a part of our American culture without asking a fucking person. So yeah, we're all a little pissed off, except if you're MAGA, you probably think this is a genius idea. It's not. Presidents need a secure space for large events that don't exist in Washington. It apparently does exist. It's a secure place if you know how to secure it. If you can secure the Hilton, like they've been doing for presidents, been going to that event for many, many decades in the past. They secure these events. Why couldn't you guys secure it? It's a question we probably need to start asking if you're saying it's not securable, because it always has been. Absolutely no argument that a woman walking her dog in the vicinity of the White House has standing to stop such a desperately needed structure for the people of the United States of America, as it will provide presidents. Talking about the people who filed the lawsuit, and they say it's because they want to walk their dog once a month. They literally said that. It's because she wants to walk her dog once a month. They're making it seem like some elitist thing. Couldn't be because people don't like you tearing down our buildings. What if you just decided to tear down the White House one day and said we're going to build condos on top of it for the White House and all the staff without asking us? Do you think we'd be pissed off? You can't just do this stuff without asking. And by the way, the $400 million, I think I saw yesterday that Lindsey Graham is proposing a bill for $400 million to have the taxpayers funded. Is this like the wall now? Mexico was going to fund it? Shit, now the taxpayers are funding the wall? Right? So quit lying, man. Quit lying, Donald and Todd Blanche. You just lie all the time. They called this guy's, the shooter, they said that the event that happened, he described the timing was not coincidental, as stated in his sprawling manifesto. Sprawling manifesto is a word they use. It was a 2-page, I printed it out and I've read from it. It's a 2-page letter to his friends and family telling him why he was going to do this crazy ass shit. And he's crazy for doing it. Nobody tries to assassinate the president and his cabinet members, even though they sound sane in their letter. It's a crazy person doing it. So you're right. That's crazy. But it wasn't a sprawling manifesto. You talk about hyperbole. You know, Todd, who writes this shit for you? Let's go back. The assassin came horrifically close as U.S. Secret Service Deputy Director Quinn's declaration. That's his declaration here. Surprisingly close. I mean, I don't think he didn't even get in the room. That's not surprisingly close. Surprisingly close is like when he gets nicked in the ear. That's surprisingly close. This is surprisingly far. Before he was fired at, was able to run through a security checkpoint and open fire on a Secret Service agent before he was apprehended. Didn't say he hit the Secret Service agent, did he? Said they opened fire on him. Remember that language. They were nonetheless limited by inherent constraints in terms of protecting the place that come available with off-site venues. By contrast, having events at the White House complex, the one that's not built, will allow for other major improvements of safety, significantly increasing the ability of the Secret Service to protect the president and guests from threats. They already had that before. You're not mentioning that, Todd. They had a great facility. You could put 500 people in it and serve them all delicious dinners. You could have said salmon and chicken there, no problem. But you tore it down without asking. Why is that not in your brief? Huh? I guarantee it's going to be in the response brief. The fixed structure constructed using threat-resistant materials, including missile-resistant steel, military-grade venting, drone-proof ceilings, ballistic and blast-proof glass, will form a fortified structural buffer, protected both the main White House and the West Wing. I was not aware that any of the windows in the White House didn't have bulletproof glass. Maybe they did before he tore it down. Todd, can you check on that for us? I've been in the White House, a lot of bulletproof glass around. The fact the assassin came mere seconds from shooting the president. Mere seconds? I thought he wasn't even, you stopped him before he didn't get in the room. Along with his family, the bulk of his cabinet, his senior staff, and the Washington press corps. So apparently he was seconds from shooting the president, along with his family, the bulk of his cabinet, his senior staff, and the Washington press corps. That's who he was close to shooting and killing, according to this brief. Like he had one shotgun and one pistol and some knives. And all his cabinet members spread out across this room of 20-something, 2,000 plus people. He must have been, I mean, I bet he'd be a pretty good shot. And by the way, you wouldn't have taken him out before he'd taken out all those people. It's like, it just sounds ridiculous that all these people are going to get killed the way you're writing it here. It would not pass the sniff test in a journalism 201 class, by the way. You know? Yeah. Jeez. You know, and they go on here to say this group includes, so after the attack, a bipartisan chorus of legislators, analysts, and media pundits have vocally expressed support for the completion of the ballroom project. Why don't you give us examples of that we can see? I think probably the bipartisan chorus includes Fox News. You do say here the bipartisan group includes John Fetterman and Rand Paul. So you've got one libertarian / Republican and one jackass Democrat who leans Republican. And that's your bipartisan chorus, along with all the other Republicans. That's not bipartisan. No, it's not bipartisan. You're really conflating things. Let's see. The group includes Democrat, okay, is the long and storied history of the White House dating back to 1791. Your ability to do whatever you want, basically what you're saying. Long and storied history. Congress has never dictated or tampered with the zoning, permitting, or architectural aspects of any project. Again, you capitalize project like it's a proper noun. What's wrong with you? This makes me crazy. I can't even get through your memo. It's so poorly, there's such poor grammar and punctuation in this memo. Who is writing this stuff for you? It's got your name signed on it, Todd. It's like you're in high school and you haven't been corrected by your 10th grade English teacher yet. I'm sorry, I'm a journalist. Bad grammar bothers me, especially in legal briefs from the Department of Justice's top official, the acting Attorney General of the United States of fucking America. Can't punctuate. Without such a location, Okay, they say it's always been free of any of this kind of nuisance, people getting in the way of these projects being built. Yeah, it's because you've never tore any of it down. You tore down the East Wing. You tore it down. So that's why there's this objection. You don't mention that. You say, and it's a gift free of charge to the country. And you put that in all capital letters like it's a Trump Truth Social post. Look at how crazy asinine that seems. Putting it all in capital letters. You're screaming at a judge, basically, Todd. Jeez. I'm not going to go through 15 pages of this thing. Okay. If any other president had the ability, foresight, and talents necessary to build this ballroom, which will be one of the greatest, safest, and most secure structures of any kind anywhere in the world, it sounds like Trump is writing your legal brief. There would never be a lawsuit. But because it's Donald J. Trump, a highly successful real estate developer, does this sound like Donald literally dictating to Todd Blanche, who has the abilities that others don't? Like not paying your contractors? That's the best ability you've shown in terms of a builder in the city of New York when you work there. Especially those who don't assume the office of the president. This frivolous and meritless lawsuit was filed. Again, it's called Trump derangement system. On top of everything else, this project is a gift. Yeah, they literally said that the reason this is possible is because Donald Trump is such a great real estate developer, and nobody else could ever do this. You know, you delegate stuff, right, Todd? Like when you say, if Obama said I wanted to tear this down and build a ballroom, he would delegate it to smart people who know how to do it. That's how, because he's trying to run the country and not be an interior decorator, right? Like you don't want the president to be an interior decorator, or you don't want him to be a construction project manager. You want him to think about things like, are soldiers in Iran floating up and down on boats getting their food? The bases that are being destroyed by $35,000 drones, is it really smart for us to use countermeasures that cost $1 to $3 million to take them out and deplete our entire military arsenal at a time when, say, Ukraine is invading, or Russia is invading Ukraine, and China has its sights set on Taiwan? Or do you want to build a ballroom? I mean, do you understand how stupid this is? Distractions, Epstein files, right? Are we right? That's the bulk of it. But this is all because you guys didn't ask. You didn't ask. If you would have come to Congress, even Donald Trump, and said, listen, we have to have a closed door meeting here. And then in the closed door meeting, you would have said to, in a classified briefing in front of Congress and the Senate, if you would have said, listen, we need more secure things under the ground to operate out of here for the president, and we need to be able to make quicker decisions, and we need national intelligence here, we need military cells here, we need this all underground, we need cybersecurity here, we need it all here, and we're going to put it on the offices of this ballroom. Yep, the president wants a ballroom too. We're running in these state dinner things where we have 300 people, we really want to put in 1,000, because it's that important for the reputation of the United States to have 1,000 people eating at a state dinner. Whatever. And you made that argument, and you said it's going to cost some money, but we can amortize that out over 30 years. And we can also, if you guys allow, we can do anonymous donations to it. That way there's no conflicts of interest. Would you guys support that? I promise you that potentially you would get both sides, you get enough bipartisan support to pass it. You didn't do it. You just did a Donald Trump thing. You did whatever the fuck you want, whenever the fuck you want. And people don't like it. And so fuck you, Donald. That's the way we look at it. Sane people. Not MAGA people with the red hats. Sane people. I'll go briefly for another couple minutes on this briefing by this character here. This guy, Matthew Quinn, is the Deputy Director of the United States Secret Service. Okay, here's the briefing. All right. What does Mr. Quinn have to say about all this? He says that I previously addressed security challenges associated with large-scale events, such as state dinners, within the White House complex as temporary structures, including tents erected on the South Lawn or other outdoor areas. Mr. Quinn, you could have had nice big fat dinners with as many as 500 people if you didn't tear that structure down without asking anybody. Okay? We're sure of that. One secret, and here's what he's talking about, the assassination attempt. During the event, a gunman opened fire at a Secret Service checkpoint located inside the hotel where the event was being held. You see how carefully he said he opened fire? And the very next sentence tells you a lot. One Secret Service police officer was shot before the suspect was apprehended by law enforcement officers on the scene. He didn't say that this guy shot him. He said one law enforcement officer was shot. Look at that language. He didn't say he was shot by the assassin. Go back and look at the video. I think they shot their own guy in a friendly fire incident. Why wouldn't they just say one Secret Service officer was shot by the assailant? It's 2 words. So I think we have something here in their own brief that discloses something they haven't really talked much about. Okay. Security advantages. The White House complex, in contrast, is a controlled facility with a permanent infrastructure designed in close coordination with the Secret Service. Access to the White House complex is restricted, and all entry is routed through dedicated screening and access control points. Could you not set up an access control point to stop a guy from sprinting through your access control points at another location? Or can you only do that in a place like the White House? It seems to me that Secret Service has been doing that for a pretty long time. They're pretty good at. I've been inside the bubble, and I've been at access locations with the president across 4 administrations. And I've never seen them lack security. So quit talking out your ass because your boss wants you to write this, Mr. Quinn. The East Wing Modernization Project. For hosting large-scale official events involving the president and other Secret Service protectees, such as state dinners. We had a place for state dinners, didn't we? We've talked about that. You tore it down. Diplomatic receptions. We had the place in the White House for diplomatic receptions, don't we? You tore it down. And other significant gatherings that now frequently require either use of off-site venues or the erection of temporary structures such as tents on the White House complex. Why is that again? Because you tore it fucking down. Mr. Quinn, you and Todd are talking to each other, aren't you? I can tell. Yeah, you got a fix on this. It's almost like you don't think we can look at pictures of the place beforehand when they had state dinners in a place that wasn't a tent. Okay. And then again, you say temporary tents cannot provide the same level of protection, structured resilience, and integrated security as a permanent facility designed to protect requirements in mind. The Secret Service must adapt its protective posture now to whatever temporary environment is available. Why is that? Why do we have a temporary structure now? Because you tore it down. I keep saying that. But your arguments are all about a place that you guys fucking tore down without asking. So, if I'm a little fired up, here's the guy's brief. Matthew Quinn, the end of it. You guys should write Matthew Quinn. Let him know what you think of his bullshit brief that was filed. This was filed Monday. So, like, follow, and share, people. We're at 23 minutes. It's too long. I know you don't give a shit about stuff that's too long. You'll start falling off, and I don't want that to happen. But like, follow, and share. We're from the Writer's Cabin on Substack. $8 a month, $80 a year. And we think we provide some value, a little bit of outrage for you and some facts. So follow us on our Substack, and you can get unpaid subscriptions there too and follow along for a while and decide whether you want to support what we do. If you support what we do, we'd love to have you. We appreciate it. It helps do what we're doing. You know, just to let you know, like, for instance, I'm having to get subscriptions to all sorts of legal pages now that, you know, when I was retired and just doing cabins, I didn't have to do. So now I've got to get on Pacer. I've got to get magazine subscriptions. I've got to get all sorts of stuff to keep up to speed on what things are coming out. And, yeah, lots of paywalls that I have to pay to get behind. So help me out. And you guys have a great Tuesday. I'm not going to be on tonight. This is going to be posted later this afternoon because I have some friends of mine coming from the Nordic Press Center in Washington, D.C. A bunch of students coming out and staying with us for a couple days and hanging out and talking about the kind of stuff we talk about. I'll try to cuss less because they're from Norway. They're much more polite. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday.